doing it this time. I'm not saying, oh, I'm only going to say it once. Hi, welcome to Tarot and Tea Tuesday. How is everybody feeling? I left my phone in the other room, so if you're messaging me, sorry, I can't get your messages today. You have to try to send them telepathically because that's the kind of day I'm having. I saw, when was it, 2 nights ago, around sunset, the little crescent of the moon. Oh my gosh, it was amazing because the sunset was really cool. There were a few clouds, so there was that kind of like the silver lining on the clouds. And then the shift in the colors and things were starting to silhouette. There were a lot of ducks around at the time. I was near the river. And I was sort of getting lost in all of that. And then, when the moon just kind of appears, it's like I was looking there and I didn't see you before, and there you are. Anyway, it must have been a shift in light or something, but then it was like bang. And when the moon's on the horizon, she's so much bigger. So yeah, this crescent was just like this sideways smile staring at me. It was quite lovely. So yes, we are in a waxing moon phase at the moment. I think the moon is currently in Aries and about to move over to Taurus. I want to announce actually before 2:30 and that shift that I'll be starting a tarot school. It will be once a week. There'll be a repeat class. So technically I'll be doing it 2 times a week, but they're just, there'll be a 1-hour session every week with new content, interactive tarot school. And what it will involve is I will find a theme that I would like to share with you regarding tarot and my understanding of how it works, this amazing system of tarot and the codes and symbols embedded in it. And then half the session will literally be any questions you have and doing readings with each other. So that'll be via Zoom if you're interested. Stay posted on the usual spots or send me an email, alisonbramich@gmail.com, or just I will probably add a link to the chat once I've got a sign up link organized. So that's something very exciting that is about to start. So yes, I am excited about this next moon phase, this waxing moon. And, I feel like the start of this year has been a little bit of a blur for me. Like, I don't know. I don't even want to rewind it and start again. I just want to forget about it or move on very quickly from it. So the general consensus I'm getting, and which I'm probably going to focus the read around today, is just there is a lot of people feeling overwhelmed around me, and I am feeling it as well. And then when you kind of, sometimes when people say it's overwhelming or there's a lot going on, you kind of go, yeah, whatever. Well, not always, but there's sometimes that thing of like, yes, people do exaggerate. It's how exaggeration helps us to really accentuate what we're feeling, make it bigger so it's maybe easier to sort of face and deal with. So I'm not dissing exaggeration or whatever, but it has a role, absolutely. But sometimes it's important to realize that, or sometimes it's easy to think that what we are experiencing is only happening to us and is bigger than it needs to be. And sometimes we belittle our experiences. So there's this fine line of like, how do you know if you're making mountains out of molehills, or if you're not paying attention, if you're in denial, basically. So I think that's the theme that we're going to do for the reading today. And the cards. Oh, wait, the tea. So my few weeks of I've had a couple of weeks since the last Leo full moon. And if you're here regularly, you'll know I've been whinging about it for a couple of weeks now. Just so much going on. I feel brain fried. Like, sometimes you have your normal brain patterns when you stare out a window or when you wake up in the morning, that the sort of the patterns that your thoughts have, the way that you think, the things that you think about, the times of day where you have those thoughts, what stimulates certain thoughts from outside of you, all that stuff is kind of like, you probably don't think about it, but there are patterns and there are familiarities within that, which allows us to not have to really think about it too much. But I have been thinking about it too much because everything that's been stimulating me from outside is really like, I can't just naturally have my brain processing the way that it always does. I have to kick it into different gears and utilize different resources on a mental and cognitive level. So anyway, that as a result of that, I'm feeling quite brain fried. I am going to go and purchase myself some, I'm going to have a boost of omega-3 fatty acids. That's one of my missions for today because that will help. But also I have decided, so I found a mystery cup, by the way, in my cupboard. If any of my kids are watching, I don't know who bought this, but I'm taking it for a spin for Tara tea. Is it like, yeah, there's cats doing all kinds of things. It's a cool blue color on the inside. Anyway, the tea we're drinking today there's a little lump of it. Doesn't look that appealing. It's lion's mane, which is a type of fungus that grows off of trees. It's kind of like, it looks all shaggy. That's why I guess it's called lion's mane, because it looks like a mane of hair hanging down. It's a white fungi, hairy looking fungi. You can get them in boxes. One of my kids and I got it and got a box of it to grow. I'd never done it before and it was pretty cool. But I have bought it at market before and eaten it. This is a dried version that I'm using as tea. I've also used the powdered version in the past in my coffees just to help with brain function. I think as well, where did I see? It was, so a couple of things I read about lion's mane. It actually weaves neural connections together in the brain. So I feel like that's something that I feel like I really need, because if I'm needing to think in a different way, it means that there are different pathways that are being opened up in my neural brain patterns. So I wouldn't mind those being solidified. I'm talking about needing stuff in my brain and I'm really struggling to find words, so thank you for your patience. But yeah, so I thought that might be good for that. Also, and I read about this ages ago and I don't know where I heard it, but I'm pretty sure there's research around actual brain cell growth from the use of lion's mane. I don't know the dose or anything like that, but basically really good for your brain. Also, sorry, I'm taking my Ugg boots off, it's been cold here. Also good for memory and anti-inflammatory, really good anti-inflammatory, especially, so I guess it kind of leads all of these things to the brain. But yeah, the anti-inflammatory in the brain, but also just generally around the body. So here's to lion's mane. It's not as earthy as some mushroom teas can taste. Yeah, it's actually quite pleasant. There's a little bit of sweetness to it. When we eat it, it's there's a bit of sweetness to it too. So anyway, I highly recommend it. It's very easy to get hold of these days because it's one of those buzzwords. As soon as you say fungi or mushroom, things like cordyceps, lion's mane, they pop up pretty quickly. So, and reishi and stuff. Anyway, here's to lion's mane. Moving along, the tarot for today. Actually, I'm down to the oracle decks now because I'm digging in my trunk of tarot cards, divination cards, and pretty sure I've gone through all the tarot, but I've got quite a few oracle decks, and that's why I thought I would make that a bit of a theme. So the cards we're working with today, a lot of people will know these medicine cards. They've been around since the 80s, I reckon. They are based on a culminative look at Native American cultures. And the symbolism is all animals and the stories and lessons that they have to teach us. So did I just pull that wrapping card? Yeah, very simple imagery. Probably if you're into cards at all and you're older than 30, you know these cards. So let's pull one of these. So Jamie Sams and who's the other? Oh, David Carson, the researchers behind these cards. And I've worked with a couple of different books of Jamie Sams's before. Really great writer. She's just an incredible advocate for a whole bunch of different Native American cultures. So highly recommend if you want to get into that sort of First Nation medicine, healing, cultural kind of thing from the Americas. She's a really great author, really down to earth, really creative, and has a wisdom about her. Clearly, she's been raised to respect and listen to her elders because their voices speak through her very clearly. So yeah, quite inspirational. But the artist is Angela Wernicke, who I don't know anything about, but the pictures are, as you can see, there's quite a lot of detail. The colors are amazing. And just the expression. That's what I love about, like, you know, you can get animal, actually see that raccoon again. You can get, I've seen a lot of animal cards, but there's just something about these, they look realistic, and there's these wild expressions, not humanized expressions. They just show a really deep understanding of the animals that are being drawn. So anyway, there's my plug for these medicine cards. Let's pull a card, shall we? Coyote. Okay, the trickster. I don't use these cards a lot, but I do remember a little bit about Coyote, and especially so when I started learning about, I think it was, oh gosh, it's almost 15 years ago now, when I spent 2 years just obsessed with understanding runes and rune lore, and that meant Old Norse, the Old Norse pantheon, getting right into the stories of the Old Norse pantheon and the stories of Loki. Whenever I read a story about Loki, it made me think of what I had, the understandings that I had around Coyote. That concept of like, I'm going to play a trick on these people just so that I can have a bit of fun, and everyone needs to just lighten up because everyone's taking themselves too seriously. And then the trick backfiring and Loki going, oh God, now I'm in this mess. But instead of kind of crumbling under that pressure, Loki kind of goes, all right, how can I, like, you know, how can I get out of this one? Like, it's almost like a game to him / her, they, Loki, to gets themselves in this mess, and then has to get themselves out. I feel like there's a very similar concept around Coyote. I am no expert on any of these Old Norse culture or Native American cultures by any stretch of the imagination, but I do relate to my own wild nature. So I'm not speaking from necessarily cultural perspective. I'm speaking from my heart and what I understand of Coyote, and that when I think about this, what we were talking about before, of that idea of bringing balance to, am I in denial or am I over exaggerating things? This card is quite powerful, because one of the things with Coyote, as well as Loki is don't take things too seriously, which helps to reduce that mountain if you have made a mountain out of a molehill. But it's also that I think Coyote also reminds us to be able to laugh at things, like to laugh at ourselves, to laugh at, not take things too seriously. Maybe even like in this idea of trickster, playing tricks on other people, but also knowing when you're kind of playing tricks on yourself, when you're in denial about what is really going on. So I feel like this, a good way to really stay on top of where your resources should be spent, where your time, energy, brain power should be spent. Oh, wow, we got a blue theme going on with my cup, the mystery cup. Anyway, where all of those resources are being spent, we need to sort of think, well, am I tricking myself that this is worth putting my energy and resources into? And that maybe is beyond like beyond the kind of like just internal thought stuff, maybe extending out into the material world. Like, what projects have you got going on that maybe you need to kind of go, well, am I fooling myself? Is this something I actually want to do? Who am I doing this for? What's my deepest intention around this? And is it authentic? Is it what I really want to be doing? So for example, when I started the Not Your Normal Book Club last month, we've only had one session. The first thing I felt when I left that session, I had a really great time, but there was this undercurrent of like, I'm responsible for this process. I'm responsible for holding this space. I'm responsible for the experiences of everybody here. And that was overwhelming to me. But I took it on, and but that was me taking it all a bit too seriously. And the repercussions of that was I came out of that session feeling like I had imposter syndrome, like I wasn't worthy of holding that role. And whether I'm worthy or not, it doesn't matter. But the point is, I was taking myself far too seriously. So that was a lesson that I've learned that I feel like was maybe the trickster stepping into my path and teaching me a little lesson about myself. So the next book club, I'm going to realize that, yes, I'm holding space, and yes, I'm guiding and directing, but ultimately everyone's experience is their own. And I can confidently bring who I am and what I know of what I'm speaking about. And as long as I recognize that, then it can be playful, and it can be a more authentic experience for me. And I can walk out of there without feeling like, the trickster's going to come and trip me over afterwards. So that's just an example of the, staying ahead of the game there a bit when it comes to how you're using your resources, what you're choosing to worry about, what you're choosing to concern yourself about, and how you're conducting yourself, and how much importance you're holding on your behavior and its impact on other people and its impact on you, not forgetting that you're a part of that. So I'm going to just wrap it up, I think, by saying that for me, what I'm going to walk away from this reading with today is that I'm going to stay on high alert for the trickster, for Coyote crossing my path or hiding in the distance and waiting for me. I'm going to dig deeper into each moment and just think to myself, okay, I have this thought, I have this feeling, I have this action that I want to take. Is it really what I want to be doing? Is it leading me towards where I want to be going? Is it something that reflects who I am and how I want to be in this world? And so just checking a bit deeper every step that I take, especially leading up to this full moon, because I want to make sure that when I get to the full power of the full moon, I am completely walking a path that I want to be walking. So anyway, I hope that helps. Whew, I got warm doing that one, just thinking about what I need to do to stay on the correct path. So I hope that that you have been impacted positively by today's tarot read, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Keep your ears out for Tarot School. Ears, eyes, noses, keep it all open. Tarot School's on the way, everybody. Cheers.